Hi, I'm Scott. Welcome back to Synth Stuff. It's time to say goodbye to the Roland System-8. Coming up. The Roland System-8's been around for almost 10 years. I've had this one for quite a while. I got the aluminum side pieces on it that were available when it was out. You could also get it with wood. And no, I'm not getting rid of my System-8. I love this thing. I'll never get rid of the System-8. However, Roland is getting rid of the System-8. They have discontinued it. It's no longer available on any online store. The only ones you can still buy new are old stock, and those are going away quickly. What is the System-8? It's a plug-out synthesizer, so it's kind of an older technology that Roland brought out before Zencore. The idea is that Roland set up analog circuit behavior models of classic analog synthesizers. It came with a Jupiter 8, Juno 106, and a JX3P built into it, and you could load other synths. You could load an SH101 or Jupiter 4 or other ACB models that you could purchase from Roland and load into the synth. And I say it's an older technology because this is before Roland Cloud really kind of got to where it is today. Like on the Gaia over there, you can load a model into it, but you have to keep connecting it to Roland Cloud to make sure that you still have the license that Roland allows you to use your own synthesizer. This is not the same thing. If you buy the plug out, you load it in there, you never have to connect this to the internet ever again. It will stay there forever. That's not how Roland does things anymore. They want you to keep paying, and you don't own anything, you just subscribe. That sucks. I refuse to do that. And the main reason I bought this synth was this button right here, which turns it into a Jupiter 8. Jupiter 8s are $30,000 plus. I knew I would never afford to buy one of those, so now here is my Jupiter 8. And for all intents and purposes, this is a perfect emulation of a Jupiter 8. And because it is actually emulating the circuitry, not just the sound, but the circuitry behind how a Jupiter 8 functions, you can do things like age the capacitors and make it sound like the Jupiter 8 is getting older, or if you want, you can make it sound like a brand new Jupiter 8, because analog synths do change over time as they get older. I actually ended up not using the Jupiter 8 model in this much. I used the Juno 106 model quite a bit more, because it has some pretty decent sounds in there. It has that nice warm Juno sound, and that's what I ended up using this more than the Jupiter 8. The JX3P, it's got a pretty brash sound to it. I probably should have loaded the Jupiter 4 into it when I had the opportunity, but I didn't. However, what I did use more than anything else, which is kind of a surprise to me, is the native System-8 engine. It has its own synthesizer that has all kinds of good stuff in there that is a really good polysynth. It has FM, it has a lot of functions and features in there that allow you to create a lot of really great sounds. And I was surprised at how good the System-8 engine sounds. Now, with this synthesizer being completely discontinued now, the System-8 engine, the only place it still exists then is in Roland Cloud. That means there is no hardware System-8 engine anymore, at least as far as we know. Are they going to come out with a System-16 that has double the polyphony? That would be nice, because 8-note polyphony is kind of limiting. And the reason for that 8-note polyphony is that ACB is computationally expensive. So could I get rid of this? Technically, I suppose. The Juno 106 and the Jupiter 8 and all those sounds, all those ACB models, I have in the Phantom EX down here. So yes, I could get all those sounds down there, and I have a Juno 106 sitting right over there, although it is a Kiwi 106, so it can do things that the standard Juno 106 can't. That said, I could probably get away with just the Phantom EX because it does have these ACB models in there, but it doesn't have the knob per function on here that the System-8 does. If I put this into Jupiter 8 mode, you can see some of the lights turn off, and the same thing with the Juno 106, so only the lights that are on will actually do something. So if I switch this into Jupiter 8 mode, you can see I have the filter and amp envelopes. It has both, but the Juno 106 only has one envelope that it shares between both, except for mine, which has two because it's a Kiwi 106. But you can see the lights turn off because it doesn't have the functionality. So you can see only the controls that are lit up in that beautiful neon green are controls that apply to whatever plug out is selected. But that means that I can make changes by twisting knobs. Some of those you can do on the Phantom, but the majority of them you have to bring up a picture of the synthesizer control board on the screen and touch screen, and it's not conducive to quick editing like a knob per function keyboard like this where you have all the controls right in front of you. But the System-8 engine is the one that I would miss because on this synthesizer, it's the one I use the most. I do use this for the vocoder, at least I used to. I found that I actually prefer the vocoder in the Phantom EX, so whenever I'm using vocoder, it's usually now the Phantom EX that I'm using. It just has better control over the vocoder. The vocoder in this is not bad, but it's not as good as the Phantom EX. The System-8 engine is the one that I find myself using most of the time. And it has, like this, you can hear some FM in there. It does have only 64 patches per engine. You can load them on and off an SD card, but it is a huge miss to have only 64 memory locations to store patches in a modern synthesizer. It's ridiculous. I've definitely used that sound before, and these are the factory sounds in here. Some of these I've modified over the times, but I've used this one before. It's got a nice distortion to it. Forest Glade. I mean, that is emulating an analog synthesizer, kind of. I mean, it is a virtual analog synthesizer, but it sounds really, really nice. Ooh, there's a good one. I mean, you could get away with playing that and thinking it's not digital, which it obviously is. Have a nice oscillator sync. And then, oh yeah, I've definitely used this one before. You know what that sounds like? If I remember how to play it. Yeah. I don't remember the rest of it, but you may or may not recognize that. It has a pretty decent arpeggiator in it too. And good effects. The effects aren't fabulous, but they're decent. Space Hulk. Oh, this is a sound that I actually made. It needs the arpeggiator on, and I think a single octave, if I remember correctly. Nope, maybe it's, nope. I think that's what I used it for. And this was a cover of Depeche Mode, Cover Me. So. don't think I have the notes quite right for that arpeggio, but that's basically what it did. And I created that sound, and I think I have some FM in there and some drive. But I mean, that's the sound that I created in the System-8 engine. Greenland. That's kind of a nice sound. Woo! Pad plucker. So it's got a pluck with a pad underneath it. Oh, and I should mention that I'm playing just individual sounds here, but I can also do splits and layers, so that if I put, this is a split here where I've got a bass down the bottom. And let's see if I can find So this is a layer here. But you can hear two distinct sounds. You've got kind of that high-pitched sound and then the other pad sound in there. Here's another one. But you can also do splits, like here's a fat split where it's down there. There's that distorted percussive sound. And that is one of the real limitations of the System-8. You hear that sound, and that's that distorted sound that I played earlier as a single patch. So the performance mode where you can layer and split sounds and have two different multi-timbral sounds, either splitted or layered, it is not a copy of those sounds, it's actually a pointer to those sounds. So I've got all these patches in here as a performance, which it means it's split or layered. But the upper half, which is this sound, is actually just pointing to that original single patch. So if I go into the synthesizer and edit that patch, it also edits this performance and totally changes it. So let's say I was in single mode and where was that sound? There it is, right there. So let's say I wanted to change that. I didn't like this sound and I want to change it to something completely different. But then I'm in performance mode and I'm over here and I've got this fat split and it's using that same sound. But guess what? I've now just wrecked this performance because I've also changed the sound in the top end of this. It's no longer going to match with what's on the bottom. That's especially bad for a layered sound like this here. We've got two sounds that mesh together to create this pad. You can hear both the high and the lower sounds in there. Well, if I go and change one of those in the single mode, I've just nuked this performance sound, maybe without even realizing that I've done it, because there's no real record of what uses what. A huge fail, because every other synthesizer, like the Hydrasynth and this Summit here, if you put it into multi-mode or like the split or layer mode, it's a copy of that patch. You can copy the contents of those single patches into the multi, but if I change or delete the original single patch, it doesn't affect the multi, and that is a total fail in the way Roland did the architecture of this synthesizer. It's a boneheaded decision they did when they were designing this thing. If you are interested in the Roland System-8, if you always wanted a Jupiter 8 or Juno 106 like I did and you couldn't afford one and you want a perfect copy, can't afford a Phantom, you want something super lightweight that you can take with you with a, not great, but decent key bed, grab one of these while you still can, because they're not gonna be around long, and I suspect the prices are gonna go up soon. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, please leave in the comments section below. And if you like this video, click like, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching.